Okay, so the good thing about percentages is that this chapter is it's very relevant to life. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use what we've talked about the last few days, and that's just kind of like a skill. Now we're going to use those skills to solve more practical, real life things. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is I do have to tell you this. A lot of these lessons, I like to go into detail on the vocab, because I feel that if you know and understand what the vocabulary it is and how some real life parts really work, that you'll have a better understanding of the problems as well. All right, so your reading comprehension, I'm kind of front loading. I mean, I'm getting you guys ready to read the different ones and understand the different problems, the different word problems, okay? So, some of these, I'll try to make it as interesting as possible, but there will be some little mini stories and things kind of put in here. So, let's go ahead and with green on the left, notes on the right, let's start a vocab. So today, guys, our focus when it comes to percentages is we're going to talk about something called discount and markup. All right? So the very first word we're going to talk about is markup. Everyone? Markup. Okay, so now you probably can read that and have a good understanding maybe mathematically what happens. Okay? However, let me explain an example of markup. All right. So let's say that you guys, when it comes to markup, let's take for example, it's kind of not exactly new anymore, but it's newer. All right. Let's take for example the PS4. All right. Now those PlayStation consoles, which company makes those PlayStation consoles? Sony. Yeah, Sony, the company, the corporation is Sony, right? So here's what happens. We understand a little bit, some of you may already know this, but we have a better understanding of how business works a lot of times. So Sony Corporation, they will turn around and they may have warehouses where they actually build those things that we call PlayStations, right? Or in the new one, the PS4. Okay, they may have machines. They may have people that have, like circuit boards. Memory chips, things that they put on all the electronic part, along with like the plastic that is the outer shell of it. All right, all of that, and they build these. Now, for the sake of stories, I'm not going to use accurate prices. I'm going to use prices that make things a little easier to give you a good idea of how markup works. But so let's say Sony Corporation. By the way, how many of you guys have went to the warehouse in Sony Corporation and bought your PS4 there? Okay, right? No one goes to Sony and goes into the warehouse and say, excuse me, sir, can I buy a PlayStation from you? Okay, it's not going to happen, right? So Sony Corporation knows that, right? That's not how business works. So here's what they do. They then get orders from retail stores, maybe places like Walmart, Target, places like Best Buy, maybe even Costco, all right? And what they do is they turn around and let's say this probably figures a little low, but it gives you a good idea of how this really works. Let's say that the Sony Corporation, for the price of the plastic, for the price of all the electronics, to pay their workers to make each individual, the time that they spent to put together each individual one, along maybe making machines run that would do it. Let's say each PS4 costs them $10 to make. $10. All the materials and the labor that goes into it, $10. So here's what they do. They turn around and they then have retail stores like the ones I just mentioned, and they will then turn around and sell them to those retail stores. So maybe maybe you like to buy your electronics from the main electronics store here in Clovis or in Fresno, okay, Best Buy. So here's what they do. They sit at the Best Buy, and in return, Best Buy, for each console, each PS4, they pay $100 to Sony for that PS4. Now, first of all, okay, how much did Sony make off of one PS4? $90, right? So that $90, you could, depending on how you look at it, you could say that Sony made $90 profit, that's called a profit, You subtract how much it takes you to build it, and that is your profit, the extra money you make, okay? You can also say, to be able to make that profit, they had a $90 markup. Now that's a dollar amount, but that's an example of markup. Now, to take the story just a little further, right, as people who buy stuff, customers, or a lot of times the business place, atmosphere, society calls us consumers. We're people who go to some place and buy items, okay, from retail stores. Well, guess what? They turn around and they give, maybe these PS4s are usually $300. They're giving you this great deal on Black Friday, right? The day after Thanksgiving, they're going to sell it to you for a great deal of $200. You got a great deal, and all of you guys are excited because you got your PS4 for $200. Well, even with that great deal, how much money did Best Buy just make?
100.
How much profit? $100, right? They bought it for $100 but sold it for $200, so they just made $100 profit. But that is another markup. So in the end, after two markups, right, we're paying maybe a great deal, $200 for something that might have cost $10 to make. Okay, that's how business works. Okay, so that's in all the different steps: corporations, businesses, retail stores, us as consumers. Okay, so here's what the book says a markup is: the amount the price of an item is increased above the price that the store paid for an item. Okay, so this is mainly referring to, of course, Best Buy's markup, right? Rather than the corporations. So the retail store's markup. Okay, in your little box, I just put down, store has to make money, right? That's the only way they stay in business, is by doing markups and selling it to us for more money than what they bought it for. Okay, now, the next word is this, selling price. Everyone?
Selling price.
All right, here's what your book says selling price is. This is the amount a customer pays for an item. We're going to come back to selling price here in a second, but you just need to write that down. Selling price is the amount a customer pays for an item. In your little box, go ahead and just put, it's the final price. Sometimes it's said to be the total price. You have to be careful with that, though, because sometimes total means how much is on the price tag itself, and that's not always the case. So the amount a customer pays for an item. Now, the reason, I want to talk about this. You have a selling price, and then the other thing you have is this, the discount. Everyone? Discount. All right, here's what a discount is. It's the amount by which the regular price of an item is reduced. The amount by which the regular price of an item is reduced. So in your little box there, go ahead and put, this is the money you save. I have to say that in my years teaching this, you have to be very careful, because a lot of students get into the math problem and they start getting these two mixed up, or don't pay attention to these two. So in just a little while, I'm going to go into great detail about not only the differences of the two, but how they are related to each other. All right, especially when a discount and selling price, they're actually like complementary to each other. And I'll show you what that means in just a bit. All right, but first, let's go ahead and let's do a markup problem. So go ahead, grab a piece of paper if you haven't already done it. Grab your book and flip over to 278. 278. All right, the little note there is a note to you guys, but mainly to myself, that we're going to talk about just here in a bit. Let's go and take a look at page 278, and let's take a look at problem number 11. Now, we'll call these like abbreviated word problems, because they have directions, they have words there, they have they have, there's no characters in the little word problem, right? But there are items, okay? So for number 11, by the way, let's go ahead and close read it really quickly. It says, find the directions. Let's read the directions. Here we go. Find the
selling
price for each item given the
cost
and the percent of
markup.
Okay. So, here we go. I do want to remind you guys, we talked about this previously. The original price, we're gonna see right now, we're gonna use percent equation. Remember we talked about it yesterday. The original price is always the whole. We're gonna use it as the whole. Okay. So here we go. All right. So for number 11, there's a bracelet, and that bracelet, they said is $26.50. All right. And that is, it says, the selling, oh no, sorry, that is not the selling price. You have to find the selling price. That's the cost of the bracelet. And meaning how much, for example, like how much Best Buy bought it for before the markup. Okay, and the markup in this problem is 35% before they sell it to us, the consumers. Okay? Oh, thank you guys. It's right underneath the... Okay. Now, I am going to explain the first way you can do this, okay? But I think you guys will like the second way to do it better because there's one less step making the problem a little quicker, okay? And it's very much kind of like the sales tax percentage that we talked about yesterday. It's going to work in a very similar way. Okay, what we can do is we can actually find out what 35% of 2650 is, and that would give us the markup. Just the markup money, not how much it is. Then what we can do is we can take whatever that markup is and then turn around and add it with the 2650. Okay? Now we can do that, and that would be okay. And you'd get the same answer of what I'm about to show you. Okay? So, that is, of course, how, like, when we did this, like when I taught 6th grade, that's how I teach my 6th graders. And there's nothing wrong with that, but if you want to be more efficient and you want me to show you a different way, that's what we're going to do today. All right? So here we go. Step 1. What we're going to do is we're going to write the percent equation. So part equals percent times the whole. Now, in this case, step 2 is I'm going to plug the numbers in. Put a little star by step 2. Okay, here's what we're going to do. First of all, remember it says the original price. Well, in this particular problem, the original price is, of course, the price before the markup. That's what they consider the original price. So if that's the case, I'm going to go ahead and plug in 26.50 or even just 26.5. We could drop the 0 for calculation purposes. It doesn't matter. If it makes you feel better to put the 0 on there, feel free. I'm also going to plug in the percent. However, and I want you have a star by step 2, put a little star right here because this is where what the star applies to. The cost of the bracelet is $26.50, and $26.50 of the $26.50 is 100%, right? We talked about this yesterday. 100% of the item is the regular price. Considering that the markup is an extra 35%, here's what you can do. Now, you don't have to do, I'm hoping that this is mental math for you guys. That's why this is so much easier. But for note purposes, write it over here. Here's what I'm doing mentally. My 100% price of the bracelet added on with the 35% markup is going to give us what, guys? 135%. So, and again, we're writing this down for note sake, but that's what you can do. You can say, oh, that if I'm going to mark it up 35% to get my selling price, which is going to be my part here in a second, I'm going to go ahead and figure out what is 135% of that. The 100% plus the extra 35% markup. So remember, don't forget what we talked about yesterday. When we plug in a decimal, we plug it in a percent. We plug it in decimal form, right? We move the decimal over twice, so 1.35 is 135%. And remember, part in this case is going to give us, because we added these two together, it's going to give us the price of the bracelet with the markup, because that's what that percentage is. So step 3 is we're going to go ahead and I'll just put down here simplify or solve, depending on what the problem looks like. So I go ahead and put in 1.35 times 26.50 equals, and I get 35.775. Now comes step 4, and guys, because we're dealing with this, we're going to make this look like money, and you're going to do that 2 different ways. First off, put a dollar sign there. Okay, that's the easy part. The next thing is you're going to make it look like money, especially the change here. We do not have 775 cents here. That's not what that means, right? So we're either going to, sometimes it'll just be like 35.7, and you have to put the extra 0. But basically what you need to do is take your cents and make sure you have the number of pennies there, meaning round to the nearest hundredths in this case. So 5 makes the 7 go up, so we have $35.78. And that is the price of the bracelet with the markup. Write that down. Okay, guys, questions? All right. For the sake of doing the lesson, I want you to try it this way. I don't want you to find the markup percentage and then add it on. I want you to try it this way. All right. Go ahead, try out problem number 14. Number 14, go. Okay, no, that's completely fine. Yeah, no, that's a legitimate concern. Yeah, that's fine. As long as they look different, then yeah. Okay. How many of you still need more time? Okay. Give you guys about, I don't know, 15 more seconds or so. Okay. 30 seconds. Go ahead and turn to your neighbor and share. Go.
I got $18.85.
I got
All right, thank you, those of you who are ready to go. All right, just going through our steps, right? Part equals percent times a whole. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look. Remember, the whole in this case is the original price before the markup. So that is going to give me, no decimal point there, $14.50, so 14.50. My percentage, 100, I could do it the two ways, right? But right now I'm going to say 130%, right? 100% of that with the extra 30% markup. If I move the decimal over twice, it becomes 1.30. And that is, of course, going to give us that. And I go ahead and type in 1.3 times 14.50 equals, and I have 18.85. The nice part is that it's already rounded to the nearest hundredths. We put our dollar sign on there. And we have $18.85. That is the selling price. Okay, guys, questions on that? Now remember, the only reason why we're adding the percent is because they are not asking for the markup, they're asking for the selling price. I want to make sure that's clear. That we're adding because they're asking for the selling price, which is the markup and the price, the original price. Okay, if they were just asking for the markup, then we would just find out like what is 30% of that. So it'd just be 0.30 times that, and then we'd have our markup. Okay. Okay, questions on that one? Okay, here we go. Now, before we go on, we're going to move on to a discount selling price type of problem. Okay. Now, here's what I want to point out, and it kind of, a lot of it is related to what we've got here, but here's what I want you to do. Okay. You can go to the back side of your paper if you'd like. If you still have your notes out, you can do it on the back of your notes. All right. But here's what I want you guys to write down. Okay. We're going to build a bar diagram. Now this bar diagram is just a graphic organizer to organize some of our thoughts and how everything's broken down. So go ahead and just draw this bar, which is just a skinny rectangle. Now, here's what I want to point out, all right? And it's kind of going to even relate to 11 and 14 that we just did a little bit. But here's what I want to point out. First of all, okay, this whole bar is whatever item we're talking about. Bless you. This whole bar is whatever item we're talking about. Let's say that we needed there was a little dress-up day, or I don't know, ugly sweater day or something like that. And we don't want to spend a lot on ugly sweaters, so we go to like Walmart and get one on the clearance rack for $10. Okay, so that sweater is $10. Now here's what I want you to know. All right, this whole thing is going to be the original price of whatever item we're talking about. That's the original price. Okay, and what I'm talking about is from this left side of the bar all the way to this right side. This whole thing is the original price. Now, there's two things that you can think of when you think of the original price according to my story. I'm going to use this story just to have this make sense. Okay, the original price, like we talked about, is always 100%. The original price, kind of like the original price of this bracelet up here is $26.50. That was 100%. That's why we came up with 100%. But it is also, you can also refer to the original price in terms of the cost, the money. In this case, the sweater was $10 on clearance, right? Let's say it wasn't on clearance, because that would, of course, give the wrong idea. Let's say that was a regular price. It was just an ugly sweater and it was cheap. All right, $10. Now, here's what I'd like you to do. Inside this bar, I want you to just come over from the left a little bit and just put a line. Okay, now, here's what I want to point out. This line, or I should say this end of the bar, from here to here, from there to there, we're going to call that is the discount. That can represent the discount, meaning how much money you're saving, basically how much money is staying in your pocket that you're not having to spend, right? The amount that the original price drops before you buy it. That's the discount. Now let's just say in this story, on this sweater rack, they have a little sign up above and it said it's 30% off. Okay, usually the OFF, the off, tells you that that's the discount, 30% off. So our discount, guys, is going to be 30%. Now, anybody know, think about the little inquiry lab we did a little while back. What is the 30% of the $10? How much would that be? It's $3. Our discount is 30%, and it's $3. Three things that it's referred to: discount, and in this story, 30% and $3. Okay? Now, the other side of this bar. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is the sale price. So let's think in terms of just trying to use common sense. If the sweater was $10 and the discount was $3 off, how much is the sale price? $7. Now, this is the part that a lot of us don't think about, and this is why I'm introducing this to you. If the discount, if the whole price is 100% of its price, and the discount is 30%, what is the sale price percentage? How much are you paying? 70%. 70%. Now, earlier when we did our vocab, I said, guys, there's a lot of people that get discount and sale price, or even discount and selling price mixed up. And that's true. In this class, when I said how much is the discount, some of you guys said $7. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay? It's very common to do that. But you have to be careful. All right? You pay close attention. Be precise on these things because the word problems will be. Now here's what I want to point out. I want to point out some interesting, I don't know if you want to, they're not really patterns, but just some things if you don't already notice. Okay? Obviously, the discount, the $3 in price, and the sale price, $7, when added, equals the original price, right? But what a lot of us don't realize, and we just kind of said it, is the discount percentage and the sale price percentage, when added up, equals what? 100%. Okay? Now that fact we're going to use in this next problem. Okay? So it's going to be embedded in our next problem, so I'm going to talk about that. Okay? Are there any questions on the understanding of this bar diagram here? Okay? All right, here we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at problem 25. Now, with problem number 25, okay, let's go ahead and look up at the directions. And let's close read those. Here we go. Find the price for each item given the cost and the percent of the markup or discount. Okay, so we are doing a discount. So here we go. Step 1. Okay. Step 1 is I'm going to go ahead and write down my percent equation. Part equals percent times a whole. Now, just like the markup, you can actually find out what the discount is by finding out that percentage times the cost of, in this case, the boots, right? And then turn around and find out that discount and then subtract it off of the regular price, okay? But this, of course, again, is going to be very similar to that. We're going to save that extra subtraction part, sort of, all right? So here's what we're going to do. Now, I guess it would help, all right? Of course, you guys already seen in your book, right? But the boots are $60, and it says the discount is 25%, so 25% off. Now, this is something that you guys will need to understand. Okay? The 25% is the discount. If I plug in the 25% here, I'm going to be getting the discount price. And that's not what I want. The question says find the selling price or sale price. You could talk about it being sale or selling. They want to know this. They want to know this, not this, in this particular problem. Okay? And remember I said they're complements to each other? Remember, and we also said that both of those put together always equal 100%, right? So, here's what we're going to do. For step 2, put a little star by step 2. Okay? let's go ahead and put 2 stars by step 2 because this is something I want us to try right now. Okay? First, the boots are $60. That is the original price of the boots before the discount. That is going to go in for the whole, right? So let's just do the easy part, the given, 60. Now you see where it says part? I'm going to change the P because this is going to guide me and be a reminder of what I'm finding. I do not want the discount. I want the selling price. I'm going to put an S. I'm going to change a P from part to be relevant to this problem. I'm going to change the part, and that's going to be S for selling price. If I put that as S, I want to put my selling price percentage right here, not my discount. If I put that discount price in there, that's not going to give me S. It's going to give me D for discount. I want to find my selling price. So because of that, the second star is exactly for this. If the discount's 25%, guys, what is the selling price percentage? 75%, right? Because both of them, 25 plus 75 is 100, or 100 minus that 25 is 75%. So I'm plugging in. Of course, remember from yesterday's lesson, decimal, 0.75. So let me just quickly review that. The 2 stars are for a reason in our steps. 1, I'm going to change the P for the general part to what the part is that we're finding out. We're finding out the selling price or sale price. So if I plug in sale price here, there's your sale price percentage. I have to plug that in. That's the second star. Okay, so be careful of that. Okay, so here we go. Step 3 is I'm going to go ahead and simplify or solve. In this case, I'm going to simplify. So 0.75 times 60 equals 45. And at this point, step 4, make it look like money. And now this case, we don't have to do any rounding or anything, and there's no like decimal point with one number. So all I have to do is put the dollar sign. And we have our boots costing us $45. All right, questions on that one? Especially with step 2. Any questions with step 2, either one of those parts? Okay, you ready? All right, here's what I want you guys to try. Try out problem number 22. Problem 22. All right, go. All right. Any of you need more time? Okay. I'll give you about 30 more seconds. Okay, 30 seconds. Go ahead and share. Listen, share your answer. I want you to share your equation, this equation right here before you solve. Share that with your neighbor as well. All right, 30 seconds. Go.
I got $3.50. Well, my equation was 0.5 times 7.
Okay. All right, here we go. So for number 22, the sweater was $35. The discount's 28%. Now that's a little funky, right? Like we don't always see. It's usually like rounded to like the nearest 5, right? 25, 30%, 45%, 50%, something like that. However, it is 28%. That's okay. That doesn't really make it much harder. So here we go. The very first step, I have my equation. Percent equation. Part equals percent times whole. I go ahead. Same kind of problem. We're still finding the selling price, so I'm going to put S there for me to remember. I cannot plug in the discount of 28%. I need to plug in, let's see, 100 minus 28. Most of us can do this in our head, right? 72. I'm going to plug in 72%. So as a decimal, 0.72. And the whole is, of course, the sweater being the original price of $35. So the selling price, I'm going to go ahead and find out. So 0.72, 7,200 times 35 equals, and I have 25.2. And now I'm going to make this look like money. So I go ahead and put a dollar sign. And that, we don't sell anything for $25.2, right? We have to put that zero back there. $25.20. All right. Questions on that one? Okay, we're going to do one more type of problem. Okay. And this one is a little more challenging. All right. So here we go. Let's take a look down at problem 27. Here we go. Let's close read the story up there at the top. So under financial literacy. Here we go. Jeff marked the prices of several items by 20%. Find the original price of each item and copy and complete the table. Round to the nearest cent. Okay. So, I'm going to show you guys the reason why I like you using percent equations, because they work 100% of the time. All right, if you follow my steps. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and write down part equals percent times the whole. All I'm doing is following our basic steps that we've been talking about. Okay, step 2 is plug in the numbers. So it says Jeff marked down the prices of several items by 20%. Now, if I put 20% here, I'm going to get the discount, right? Because 20% is the discounted percentage. The part would be the discount price. Okay? Remember we talked about bar diagram, that whatever you plug in one, you're not going to plug in a discount and voila, I get a sale price coming out of your equation. It's not going to happen. So I then look here really quickly And look what it says, the two headings, I guess you'd call them, says in that table. Marked down price and original price, which is blank. Ladies and gentlemen, they give us the marked down price. So first of all, they don't give us the original price. That's what we have to solve for. So the W stays there. They're giving us the markdown price, which right here goes under the part, which is, in this case, $2.99. Now you have to be very careful. Another name for markdown price, is that discount or is that sale price? A marked down price is just a fancy way of saying that is the sale price. Selling price after the discount. That is the sale price. If I plug 20% here, I'm not going to get the right answer because 20% is the discount, not the sale price. You see that? They have to match. That is extremely important. So instead of 20%, what are we putting here? Yeah, 80%. So 0.80. Now we go, and this one isn't simplifying, right? It's solving. It's just an equation, W multiplied by 0.80. So to get W by itself, I'm going to divide by 0.80. From there, and from there. Do the same thing on both sides of the equal sign. So those cancel. We end up with the whole, meaning the original price. And let's go ahead and plug this in. 2.99 divided by 0.80 equals. And here's what I get. 3.7375. Now, that last step is no different. I need to make it look like money. So I round to the nearest cent, which is the nearest hundredths. 7 makes the 3 do what? Yeah, go up to 3.74. Get that dollar sign on it. And there you go. All right, questions?
So we do that for every single one of those?
So, yep. So that chart you're going to complete by using very similar process. Okay? Any other questions, guys? All right, try it out. Here we go. Only do the second column over. The markdown price being $4.99. Okay? Go ahead and try that out. Go. How many of you need more time? Okay, 30 seconds. Go ahead and turn to your neighbor and check. Go.
I got $6.24.
I got $6.24 and it was $6.23.
All right, here we go. So, start with percent, our part times percent times a whole. On this particular problem, right, the markdown price is $4.99. So that is the part because that's the markdown price. It's the sale price. It's not the whole. It's not the original. So the percent of the markdown price, remember the discount's 20%, meaning that the percent of the markdown price is still 80%. The whole, being the original, just stays the W. And in this case, you're just dividing both sides by 80% or 8/10. And I get W equals, and we have 4.99 divided by 0.80 equals, and you should have got 6.2375. Round to the nearest cent, 7 makes a 3 jump up, and we have $sign $6.24. Okay? Questions on that one? All right, guys, discount markup.